So I heard that you can paint with acrylics on Bristol board, and I'd never done that before. I always use watercolor paper. So I have this sketch here, and I went ahead and taped it down like I would treat a watercolor paper onto some foam core. And then here we are in my tiny studio, and I have the drawing vertical, which is the way I like to paint. I'm gonna go ahead and start adding some phthalo green, which will be the base I'll use for my drawing. I'm mixing it with plaster and water. I do this because I hate the way acrylic paint looks. Here's my brush, it's brand new. I want you to notice how full it is because by the end of this painting, it'll be just down to a couple of bristles. Once we get the drawing painted in, I'm gonna go ahead and mix up some cadmium red and magenta. Yeah, to make a hot magenta layer. I do this to block out the white. I usually don't like any white glaring back at me when I'm trying to discern colors, and this helps. I know that we're entering the ugly phase of the painting, and it will be ugly for quite some time, but you just have to have faith that this ugliness is going to go away. I will say, you saw how tentatively I was putting that paint on there at first. I was afraid the paper would buckle, but you can see how thick my paint is. After the initial wet part dried, it was actually very flat through the rest of the painting. Did I mention that I only use one brush throughout the whole painting? And I do that for a reason. I'm working with a Princeton fine liner illustrator brush, and it's like a 0/18. It's the smallest one you can possibly get. I spent a long time looking for the right brush. I went through lots and lots of brushes till I came on this one. What's good about it is it's strong enough to stand up to the mixture of plaster and paint, which can get quite thick at times. You can see here it's almost like a toothpaste, but it sets up wonderfully when it dries and gives a really almost fresco-like texture to the paint that you can't really even see here on the video, but in real life it's such beautiful, beautiful surfaces, almost like it's a fabric. So look really closely now at this splice between this color change and this color change. This is how closely I have to work with the pre-mixed paints. I don't blend the colors, or I'm striking them on top of each other and letting some show through, just the way people do egg tempera painting. Just enough to get a new color based on the look of the two colors together. Okay, we're about a week into the painting. I finally made it to the main figure. Notice how tiny the brush strokes are becoming, and that is because the bristles, you see, are nearly gone. I'm left with maybe 3 or 4, which is perfect, and why I keep with the main brush, because as I get to the end of the painting, I need to do finer and finer detail, and the thin bristles allow me to get those tiny strokes that actually melt. You can't see it here, but as I apply it on here and then they dry overnight, it's like Christmas morning the next day it comes. Because the plaster, when it dries, it actually contracts, so your brush strokes are much, much thinner than when you actually apply them initially. Well, here we are at the magic part of the painting where you can do all the highlights and the details. It's kind of bittersweet because you know very soon it's going to be finished, something that you really wanted to do and you thought about literally for days, and now it's upon us and we're done. So happy. Or are we? I'm kind of sad it's over. Let me know what you think.